very excited for our next presenter. We have her here right now, Elizabeth Wong. So feel free to introduce yourself and start your presentation anytime you want. Okay.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm a 12-year-old from Singapore. May I share my screen, please?
Of course. Do you have permission to share your screen?
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Okay, today I'm excited to introduce my invention. Wait, sorry, I think I'm in the wrong slide. Wait, can you all see my screen? Oh, okay. Okay. Today I'm excited to introduce my invention, Planet Rinse. So a problem that we are facing in today's world is that public recycling bins are often not utilized as much as they could be, as there is a requirement for members of the public to rinse their recyclables. Because these recycling bins are normally placed in areas with high footfall, like lift lobbies or car parks, which are often far away from washing facilities, most people find it inconvenient to rinse their containers before recycling, throwing it into the general waste bin instead or into the recycling bin without washing, causing contamination. My invention aims to solve this problem by utilizing a high pressure water container, making it possible to deploy washing facilities anywhere that you find recycling bins without the need for expensive plumbing. So this shows a job form survey that I did. You guys can scan the QR code if you want to see the survey results. So I did many things, such as researching online, visiting recycling bins in various places, like I showed you just now, and discussing with various people. So the survey is one of the things that I did. So this is a statistic from the survey results. So the common problem here is that many people want to recycle, but do not want to go out of their way to do so. The requirement to rinse their containers is a big barrier to people using public recycling bins, as they find this step a great hassle. The majority of people in my survey were concerned about the environment, yet there were many obstacles to recycling properly in Singapore. The top three being it washing recyclables is inconvenient, difficult, as well as embarrassing in public. So these are some more statistics from my survey. Research has shown that if there is too much contamination, the whole batch may end up in the landfill, even though they could. Oh, so sorry. Wait. Are my slides changing in your
They're not. They are not changing. I was wondering if there was a problem on my end. I wanted to bring it up, but you were already talking so well. I didn't want to interrupt your flow.
Oh, it's okay. Wait, let me check. Wait, I think I'll just stop my chat and try sharing again. Maybe it's something like that. So
It's
sorry.
totally okay. But your slide was stuck on the first one. I think the about me.
So sorry. Wait, can you guys see it now? It should be a yellow slide.
There we go. We can see it. We can see it now.
Okay, wait. Should I just continue from there or?
You could, if you want to go back, we still have time. So you can go back to, you can go back a few slides since we didn't get to see much of the statistics. You only saw the about me slide.
Yeah, I'll just show you all the statistics for the thing. Okay, so this is my survey for the problem. And then this is one of the statistics. And then the common problem is people want to recycle but don't want to go out their way because it's inconvenient to rinse the containers. And then most of the people are concerned, but they think it's inconvenient, difficult, as well as embarrassing sometimes to do it in public. So research has shown that if there's too much contamination, the whole batch may end up in the landfill, even though they could have been recycled. In Singapore, according to the National Environmental Agency, 40% of all of the recyclables in recycling bins get thrown away because of contamination. Not only that, some people think that even if you just throw away a recyclable that hasn't been washed into the recycling bin without washing it, then the recycling company will just wash it for you. But this is actually not what happens. Even though some companies do wash it, um, this this method is not as efficient and may still result in some contamination. So, some more things I found online. These are some images that show what the problem is like when people don't recycle properly and how waste affects our daily life, such as like in microplastics, such. So the problem that I'm trying to solve is how do we make the important step of rinsing our empty bottles and cans more convenient for the public so that they recycle more often and do it properly so as to not contaminate the entire load. So I decided to create a solution to this problem. How might we make rinsing containers easier and more convenient for everyone? So, I had some inspiration from nature, biomimicry. The squatting cucumber disperses its seed over great distances by building up fluid pressure inside its fruiting body and releasing it in a squirt when the time is right. Some animals, such as octopuses, squids, whales, and some fishes, use the hydrodynamic of directed water and jet propulsion to travel, shoot prey, and move about. This knowledge about different animals' use of jet pressure, water, and suction grips made me realize that we do not always need a tap to wash our recyclables efficiently. Creating a highly effective self-contained pressure squirting mechanism will also do the job. And this can be achieved using pressurized water containers or bottles and without using expensive plumbing. My invention, Planet Rinse, is an innovative self-contained pressure water washer inspired by biomimicry that can help to wash different shaped containers for recycling without the need for plumbing. These are some of the benefits as listed below. These are some of my target audiences. I think that my invention can help solve these sustainable development goals. Goals 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, and 13. With all of this in mind, I built 3 prototypes. For prototype 1, I used recycled materials such as cardboard boxes. For prototype 2, I used a gardening pressurized bottle, which is used for watering plants, and polymorph plastic, as well as some other materials here, like this I found online. So this showed me that a non-plum version of this can be very successful, so it can be deployed anywhere you find recycling bins. So these are some of the videos that I took of me testing it. So basically pumping it up to increase the pressure inside. And then bring out the water and testing it out with a real bottle. So I built prototype 3. For prototype 3, as you can see here, I incorporated prototype 2 and added some other things. The pipe cleaners simulate nozzle jets that will oscillate, but it's a bit tricky to test fully without the real thing. So these are some of the designs and what I want to incorporate in the future. So these are some of the videos of prototype 3. So you pump it up and then it flows up like that. In the actual product though, the user will not have to pump it up themselves because the pressure will be supplied with a pressurized metal container, which will be replaced regularly by the recycling crew when they come by to collect the recycling. So basically you saw the water just now. It will flow down by this tube into this collection bottle here. In the future, I hope to collaborate with research companies, polytechnics, universities, and government agencies to improve this invention and market it to recycling companies and government bodies. These are some of the innovative future features that I want to incorporate next time. Thank you. Any questions?
All right. So thank you so much for for that presentation. And I'm glad that people actually are putting attention to the fact that recycling isn't only about just throwing it in the recycling bin if it like matches the criteria. It also involves making sure that the things that you throw or put in the recycling bin are also clean. That's why there are certain standards and procedures you have to follow to recycle. And something like this, an invention like this, would make it very much easier for the bottles to be cleaner when you put it in the recycle bin. So I do have a question. What do you think would be one big problem that could you would face if you were trying to improve this invention further?
One thing I think I may face if I try to improve this further is basically how sometimes when people keep using it and then let's say because you are dealing with food debris, right? So maybe sometimes if you look closer into it, it may clog up this pipe over here, right? Sometimes. But then I think like maybe how we can solve this is also maybe like we can probably replace like when we are collecting this bottle, when the recycling crew is collecting this bottle, maybe they can also help to check the pipe over here if they can. Yeah, and then maybe also like we can have a filter over here that like all the food debris will go here and then we can just replace the filter. So yeah, I also think maybe some people might like play with it a bit. So for that, I think maybe we'll have like a barrier around it. So so it's about how to put in a way like a barrier over it without making the user have to like bend over to access the cleaning mechanism.
All right. So Simon, do you have any questions? Before, of course, because I can
Yeah,
always ask.
yeah, no, I've got lots of questions, as in when I say lots of questions, lots of thoughts spring to mind here. What a wonderful idea. First of all, what a wonderful idea, and it's something that's so positive. I as an entrepreneur, as somebody who looks to help people's ideas turn them into ones that can be commercialized, the fundamental thing a lot of people miss out on that you've addressed straight away is the problem that your idea is solving, because it all starts from that side. So you you've thought of an idea, but what is the problem it's solving? And I think you've captured this very well. And if I can give you some tips on this side of things with the problem is, as well as surveying people about it, there's and the way people fill in surveys about problems is they try and be really helpful, and they imagine how they can help you with a survey. But if you actually interview people and talk to them, and you come with an agenda to finding out more about the problem and less about your solution, you'll get some really good insights. So if you start speaking to people about recycling and how they actually do it. So when did you last do some recycling? Take me back to when you did it last Tuesday, and how did you go about it? What did you do? Were there any frustrations? You'll start to get some tips that don't come out in surveys that might give you further ideas, because you're solving a problem for people, and that's when little bits change and you think, I can do it that way, or this is the way people want it. So first of all, brilliant, you're solving a problem. you can do more by speaking to people as well about the problem. And there's a very readable book called the Mum Test, MOM Test, which is a short book, and you could probably just ask ChatGPT to summarize it online. It's really, really good for helping you speak to people about the problems that invention solves. So that's my first thought. The other thought is that the way you've talked about who your customers might be, which is the area I work in, the problem, your solution. Have you heard of something called the Lean Canvas? It's a one-page document, or a one-page PDF or Word document, and that's a really, really good tool for inventors and entrepreneurs. It's just one page where you fill out the boxes, what the problem, solution, the customer segments are, all of that, and it gives you a complete picture. So I'd highly recommend the Lean Canvas for what you're doing there. And I'll also put the book in the chat now, for everybody to see. One second.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm just seeing where I can put it in the chat for everybody.
The Ling campus.
I can't see a whole chat for everybody. I can just see people's names on the chat. Oh, I can't. I've just got hosts and panelists here. Let me put the book in, and then I can share it around. It's called the MOM test, Mum Test. It's American spelt mum. I'm in the UK, and we spell mum MUM. Let me just message you MOM test. Test. There we go. I'd highly recommend it. It's a short book, but it's about how you speak to people to get their problems. And the essence of it is, Elizabeth, that rather than show somebody your genius idea, to which most people would say, I love that. That's a really good idea, because people are normally nice. And if you said that to your mum, she'll say, what a great idea, Elizabeth. And that's the whole, like, but if you were actually to talk to somebody in a way of saying, well, when did you do this last? Where did you recycle last? And you're not telling them your solution, and you start to talk to them. Okay, so you did it last week, and were there any frustrations? And they tell you, and then that gives you ideas, new ideas. So it's a good way of doing it. And then the other thing I mentioned, which I'll put in the chat for you, is the Lean Canvas, which is, you can just download online from anywhere, just on a Google search. They're two real. One's a really good read, and the other's a really good place to put down your problem, your solution, who it's for, and there's a few other segments in there about the uniqueness of your idea, and I think the scope of what I would call your customer segments is bigger than you've outlined right now, and a lot of opportunity, because this is a thing that so many people are passionate about, so many governments are passionate about, so many organizations are passionate about, and solving something like this in the sort of way that you're thinking differently about, rather than just putting dirty recycling things into a container for people to take away, is a sort of thing that captures people's attention. So yeah, love it. By the way, and this is important when asking people about about what you're doing. If you ask mentors, if you ask people like me, what do you think? Unless we're a customer segment, unless we're somebody that actually does recycling, I am somebody who is get involved in recycling. Our opinion doesn't matter too much unless we're a customer segment. So you want to focus on the opinions of people who fall into your customer segment groups. Yeah, and I think the best way of describing that, let's say instead of instead of a recycling solution, let's say you came to me with a female hair product solution. Now look at me, Elizabeth. Would I be in that customer segment? So if I wouldn't be the right person to say if it's a good idea. So that's the other important part when you're speaking to people. Make sure that they fall into what you think is your customer segment. And I do in this case, so I think it's a brilliant idea.
Thank you. I've never heard of the Lean Canvas and the Mum test before, so it's really good. Thank
It,
you. I shall look
pleasure.
further into it.
My pleasure.
All right. So, once again, thank you, Elizabeth. And we do have our next presenter here, Ling Blossom, I believe. So, thank you once again, Elizabeth. And I'm really happy. I wish to see you again once you're able to make your other prototypes, your future plans, and so on and so forth. So, thank you so much. And remember to keep inventing like you always do.
Thank you.
All right. We are a bit behind on schedule, but it's okay. It's okay. Hello, Ling. Could you introduce yourself and get started on your presentation whenever you're ready?
Okay, so hello, I am Ling Blossom and I am 12 years old from Lakeside Primary School, Singapore. Did you know that there are 181 million children under 5 suffer from malnutrition? Even in developed countries like Singapore, some children lack proper nutrition. The reason that there is a lack of nutrition even in a country like Singapore is because there are poor diet choices. Many Singaporeans, especially children, consume high amounts of processed foods, sugary drinks, and fast food, leading to poor nutrition intake. My invention, Grow Well, is an app that helps parents track, improve, and understand their children's nutritional challenges. This helps parents take charge of their children's nutrition, ensuring that they have enough nutrition. I chose this issue because I noticed my friend eating mostly fast food and often feeling weak. That made me scared and worried about my own health and started paying more attention to what I eat. Nutritional problems are important to solve as they can stop our development mentally and physically. Parents can benefit from my invention as it makes nutrition simple and easier to understand. My invention has three main functions. Firstly, tracking. This function logs meals and checks if nutrition needs are met. For example, a 12-year-old like myself needs 1,600 to 2,200 calories per day. A 12-year-old needs about 34 grams of protein, a minimum of 130 grams of carbohydrates, and fat should make up 25 to 35% of daily calories. My water intake also has to be 7 to 10 cups per day. Having this feature personalized to different age groups and gender, I can track how much I need to consume each day and how much I lack in the different types of nutrition. Secondly, suggesting. This function recommends healthier food choices to users. We could recommend consumers to eat healthier food options such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and low fat dairy instead of unhealthy food like snacks and sugary drinks. Lastly, educating. This function provides tips on balanced meals. The app can make widgets to encourage consumers to eat healthily. Every day, the widgets would change to give a new encouragement to eat healthily. While experiencing my invention journey, I was stuck on whether I should target children or parents. I chose to target parents as they have a bigger say in their child's nutritional intake. Through this journey, I have learned to be more grateful for my health as others may not have a healthy lifestyle like me. I hope my app will inspire others to have a healthy body and take care of themselves. My future plans are to further develop this app by transferring everything I have designed into an app developer so that I can make a digital prototype. Afterwards, I can have user testing to ensure that people can use my app. I can ask family and friends to try it first and get their feedback on it. Let's work together to fight malnutrition, one meal at a time. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Ling. I'm very happy that you're bringing attention to the nutrition of people because a lot of times these days, when people say, "Oh, the problem is world hunger," or "The problem is that there's no food at all," when in reality, in a lot of cases, in different places, the problem is not necessarily the lack of food, but the fact that the only food that's there are probably like junk food or unhealthy fast processed food and so on and so forth. Because you'd be surprised by the amount of times you could find like a Doritos bag in the most random, out of place provinces, but you wouldn't find like a good store that would sell vegetables or proper actual food. You know what I mean? Because it's easier to just transport junk food into every any store or every store, but it's not as easy to be transporting produce since obviously it would rot. It needs good conditions to stay ripe and so on and so forth. So Simon, do you have any questions first? I'm gonna start with you because I know you always have something good to say.
Yeah, no, I love this because there's an educational aspect to it, which I think is so important, not just for young people, but for parents. I'm a parent myself. My 16-year-old daughter is just about to sit her exams, and one of the exams she's sitting is on food technology. And it's amazing how much she's learnt about nutrition in doing this, but not just her, because I've been sitting with her, listening, and she's been bouncing ideas off me, how much I've been learning as a parent. Um, and and I think this is something that's really important from an educational point of view, not just for the kids, but also for the parents to understand. We understand nutrition's important. We don't have enough information to make nutritional decisions. We've all heard that junk food's bad for you, but we don't hear of alternatives other than, oh, you should eat vegetables. And so something that's easily accessible to parents, that they can understand, but also educates them on, and you could expand this out to how to put together local produce or menus, or what to avoid, and how to balance particular nutritional diets. I think it's such an interesting subject for parents. We all care about our children, so playing towards how parents can help children, I think is particularly powerful. So as a customer segment, that's a really strong customer segment. They're also a customer segment that purchases things more than the children do. So it also hits that side of things. And as I said, as a parent, it's something I'd be interested in looking at for some sort of app, something educational, that I can understand how to provide better nutrition to my child. So yeah, really good idea, Ling.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me, Ling, in any of that? I mean, just
Um,
me as a parent, as such.
yeah, because like in Singapore, my parents said that the education at the olden time was like not really like now, because now there's like a lot of neighborhood schools and it's really easy to like get into a school because it's like government based.
Yes.
So because like last time you need to have like enough money to go to school. But now it's like the government is paying for our school.
Yes.
So like, well, because other countries, they might be more fortunate and they might have more education on food. So could it have my app? Could it only be in Singapore? Because some other countries might have more education than Singapore.
Okay, I think the simple answer to it is I think your app would fit in almost any country because even in the world's most advanced countries, there's nutritional problems. If you take the United States, for instance, there's a lot of obesity, a lot of nutritional problems. It's not a problem of lack of food, it's consumption of too much sugary foods and foods that lead to things like type 2 diabetes. So, and part of that is through lack of education. The schools should also be a target market for you. So the schools more and more are wanting to teach things along the lines of food nutrition. So as well as parents, you also have a target market for schools, but it is definitely something that is a global problem. Nutrition, wherever you sit, there's nutritional problems here. The beauty for something like this for you, Ling, in terms of localizing what you're doing is we now have AI. We now have AI that can go into all these local data sources. So you it would have been more problematic. It would have been a harder problem to solve in local places before AI than you have now, because now you can tap into to local data and offer local solutions. So, but it's not something that's just a Singapore problem or just it's somewhere all around the world and yeah, and for different reasons around the world. And anything else, Ling? Okay.
I also feel like it was a great idea to make the parents a target audience because if there's also one thing that's consistent throughout all times and all countries, that parents are always gonna want the best for their kids, and that would include forcing them to eat vegetables. So, so yeah, she is right when she said parent will have much more of a say because I don't think the kids would have a say if the parents are making the kid eat the vegetables. So yeah, with that, I believe it's actually time for our next presenter, and I'm looking at the schedule here. It says Elizabeth Wong is actually going to be returning to present about another topic. I believe that's right. Is that right, Elizabeth? If
Well, yeah. Yes.
all right, I think Simon's gonna have fun once again listening to yet another idea of Elizabeth's. So, and I am too. I'm also gonna be very excited. So, you know, what, whenever you're ready. By the way, Ling, thank you so much once again. We hope to see you again soon with that app. Maybe I'll recommend it to my mom. So and maybe my mom could force my little siblings to eat their vegetables, and hopefully not me because I already eat mine. Don't worry. And thank you so much once again. I hope to see you again very soon in the next gift. And Elizabeth, the stage is yours once again.
Thank you. You can see my slides, right? You can see my slides. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Wong from a 12-year-old from Singapore. Today, I'm excited to share my invention, the one for you. So, the problem is disposable cutlery and food packaging are major contributors to the problems of daily waste, pollution, and global warming. Bringing reusable utensils to school or work can be very cumbersome due to the bulkiness of bringing separate ones out. So, I think that if we improve the convenience of reusable cutlery, this may encourage more people to use it instead of disposable ones, which may help to reduce the impact of waste on the earth. These are some statistics which I found online about the impact of of disposable cutlery. As you can see, some of the last one says stuff about microplastics. After the plastics break down, as in plastics from one-time use disposable cutlery, things like that, they still become microplastics, and this can affect our life a lot, as you can see from these pictures here. For this one, I also made a survey on job form, which 100 plus people responded to. And these are some statistics. 66% of them thought that they were too bulky or inconvenient to wash, so they found separate bringing reusable utensils out more bulky and inconvenient. So I made the one for you. The one for you is a 4-in-1 utensil combining a fork, spoon, knife, and chopsticks into one. So it consists of a few parts. It has a fork half and a knife half, each connected to a chopstick, and a handle cover case for joining all of it together. So basically, the fork and knife halves can be used as a combo to slice and chop food to eat, but they are each connected to a chopstick also. So you can also use them as chopsticks. Besides that, you can also combine it into one big spoon or fork to use. So it's suitable for multiple cuisines. So the one for you is multifunctional, versatile, portable and compact, sustainable and environmentally friendly, as well as new and novel. These are my target audiences. Some potential applications and use cases that this can be applied in are in outdoor activities, lunch boxes, emergency and military ready-to-eat meals and rations, minimalist lifestyles, restaurants or cafes, and fun gifts. So you can use it whenever you need to bring something out. So I think my invention can help with these sustainable development goals. So goals 9, 11, 12, and 13, because I can get more people to use reusable cutlery if it's more convenient for them, it's more portable for them to bring about, less bulky. So I think it can help with these goals. I made 3 prototypes. So for prototype 1, I used cardboard. I made it into a cardboard cutout, as you can see from these pictures. So let me see if the dimensions were suitable and if I could hold it properly and like test it out a little bit. But it was too flimsy, so I couldn't test it out with real food. And it also raised some safety concerns because of the serrated fork edge, so it may cut the mouth. So I made prototype 2, improving on that. So these are some pictures. For prototype 2, I designed it on Tinkercad and 3D printed it using nylon PA2200 watt material. Taking inspiration from child-friendly blades, I made it safe because of like the safety issue from the previous prototype. So I incorporated the design of these child-friendly blades of the knives in the market by going around and looking at them. So I changed the jagged edges to bumpy ridges, so it will not cut them off. So this prototype was strong and could cut all kinds of food well when I tested it. But however, there were still some design issues because of Tinkercad's limited functionality. So these are some videos with bread. Hello, I am Elizabeth, and this is the second prototype of my invention, the 4-in-1. As you can see, this is the case, the chopstick component, the knife component, fork component, and the spoon component. Today, I am going to show you and demonstrate how my invention can cut things like bread, chicken, egg, and even cup noodles. So, this is the bread, and I'm going to cut it in my invention here. Okay, so it's a bread. And this is a chicken wing.
I will demonstrate to you how my invention will touch chicken wings as well. Thank you.
And then last but not least, with veggies.
The next thing we're going to test with is the chopstick component. We're going to test the chopstick component with veggies. Thank you.
So,
Hello.
okay. So then afterwards, I made prototype 3. These are some pictures with polymer plastic. So the challenges I faced were also that when polymer plastic cools, it will harden. So because of this, after heating it up, I had to quickly mold it and then reheat it when it hardened and then keep molding it again. So when you reheat it, sometimes it will get deformed. So you have to do it fast and put the timing right. It was also very hard to cut it down the middle for the blade. The improvements that I made were I could identify the flaws quickly and alter the measurements on the spot because I could just adjust it quickly. So despite using this, there was still a small gap, so affecting the functionality because the liquid that if you're using the spoon, the liquid will just drop off, right? So that was not too functional. So that's one of the big major problems. These are some videos.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth. This is prototype 3, and today I'm going to be testing it on real food. Thank you.
That's a fish, I think. And then next the chopsticks component with some rice. The chopsticks are better to use than the previous prototype because they're more sleek. So in the future, I hope to try out different materials, improve on the dexterity, as well as try out different programs to improve this design. So after speaking with Mr. Lee, the maker coach at Temasek Polytechnic on 6 September, I decided to redesign the blade to eliminate gaps and improve functionality. The new blade will have a diagonal cut with overlapping half like this one. This is the design for the next blade in prototype 4. What I'm planning to do for prototype 4. So not only will it be more watertight, it's also sharper. So more effective. Thank you. Any questions?
All right. So the question I do have is just a very simple and kind of silly one. Um, how well do you think this device could be used for soup? Because I do notice there is a gap in the middle, so I'm not sure if it's like tight
Like here.
enough.
Yeah, this yeah, right? Okay, so basically, yeah, to solve this gap, over here, I decided to redesign the blade because this part, when the water drops on it now, last time it used to be right down the middle. So not only is it not as efficient, the water can just seep through slowly. And then this cut, it's the fork side is curved for safety, so of course it won't hit cut the mouth like I mentioned earlier with the jagged edges for prototype 1. So it still solves that problem, but at the same time, this part you will see, if you think about it, the soup or any liquids you put inside, it won't go through as fast or as much. Hopefully it will be nicely watertight. And of course these are just prototypes. I'm hoping that when I manufacture it officially, then it will be better as well. So over here, this will also make it sharper so you can cut food better. So yeah. So even though in the other prototypes here, it had some gaps, right? So soup and liquids isn't as effective for these ones. I'm hoping that this blade, when I test it out, it should be better.
All right. By the way, I am checking our attendees. I'm not sure if our next presenter is here because it actually is supposed to be time for our next presenter, which is going to be about, I think they're going to be talking about unschooling, which is a very interesting concept. But if they're not here, we can continue to ask questions to Elizabeth, which I can already see Simon getting excited for. So, just one last question from me before I know that Simon's gonna take the stage. So, Elizabeth, these seem to be very kid friendly for obvious reasons. They're designed to be that way. Will we ever get any like colored designs, obviously to make it a bit more fun? I see
Hopefully
a
next time
nod.
when I manufacture it, and then I think I'll make maybe like some versions. Maybe you can make like the normal version, and then if I want to, I can also make maybe a kid version. Because like you know how like we have like smaller hands, right? Sometimes so it may be a bit harder for us to like hold it sometimes. So we're hoping I can make a kid friendly one. And yes, I think different color designs would definitely be very fun.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Okay, so Simon, I know you already have something in mind.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
well,
my friend.
no, I got a couple of questions. One is as Elizabeth, as you were showing me that, I thought, but surely there must be lots of products like that in the market. And you stated that you've done some research and there isn't. I did a quick look on using ChatGPT, and yeah, there's nothing. There's lots of products out there that do little bits of this, but none as an all-in-one utensils the way you've shown. So that actually surprised me. And then I thought, going back to my area of being an entrepreneur, well, okay, well, would I buy one? And I realized I'm probably not a customer segment for this. And I thought, well, who is? And this is the interesting part, because I think I've noted down some customer segments, and this might give you some ideas of the commercial side of this. So I've noted down that this sort of invention could be very useful for travelers and backpackers. I think they're a customer segment that this would really benefit. And along those same lines, people that are campers and hikers. So it's these outdoor type of people and people that are traveling. And when you're talking of traveling, people that commute and office workers that are taking their utensils into the offices and around each day. So there's a big market for it. There's the whole student market that bring a little bit like office workers, as well as you've identified the eco-consumer, conscious consumers. But you've also got, slightly off track from that, you've got people that love gadgets. So that's the nearest to me. I quite like gadgets. So this would be a quite a sort of a dad type gadget thing that would be quite cool. And that's sort of with the gift market as well. So there's lots of markets and customer segments for this sort of invention. It's quite a commercial one, which is interesting. So you could target it differently for each customer segment. You could produce something that's a variation, as on colors, and where we're making it more vibrant, you said, for the kids, but also for you could make versions of this for each particular customer segment that does the same thing. So I think there's a lot of commercial potential for inventions like this because of the amount of customer segments you can target. So that was my basic feedback on that.
Thank you.